Good evening. How are you?
There they come. Hey, Anna.
Hey, we're here. Bill Powers of the great state of San Antonio.
Well, you could just turn that screen dark. We know who it is just by the voice, right? Just by the voice. Good evening. It's good to be with you. We got just a couple minutes. Everybody have a good day. And, you know, we're living in surreal times, right? It's kind of crazy.
Yes,
Life
Yes,
goes
we
on.
are.
And
Looks like you got cow horns on there, Mike.
Easy down, easy down.
There's a horse behind you.
There's a horse down.
A
yeah,
large one.
that's the great state of San Antonio, not knowing the difference between a cow and a horse.
Well, I might not be able to visually, but I see it because I'm driving, but I'll verbally hear it.
There you go.
Okay. Sounds good. The more the merrier. We actually had about 70 people register for this. So, you know, sometimes people register just thinking they're going to get the replay, right? They don't show up for class. This is one that I will be sharing. So if that happens, that's okay. So good evening, good evening. If you're just now getting on the call, I see Lisa. How you doing, girl? And
Good evening, everybody.
How are you
Lisa.
doing? I was just saying
Hey,
hello
Mary.
to Chris out
Hi.
there. We've got Linda Halley out there. It's good to have you on the call, my friend. Just
I'm
about-
going to mute
Thank
myself
you.
out so you don't hear the road traffic.
That's perfect. Thank you. It's about that time.
Yes, it is, because my alarm just went off.
There you go. She told me she set her alarm. You didn't want to forget it, right? Hey, I had to set my own alarm so I didn't forget it. You just never know. Lots going on. It's exciting times. And again, guys, you know, hope that you're not, I think it's a good sign that you're here and life goes on and we know who our provider and our protector is. And, you know, sometimes big stuff happens, but that's okay. Doesn't mean anything except big stuff happens. We just got to keep moving forward, right? And so it's good to see you guys here tonight. So I'm going to go ahead with it. I've got some slides to share with you. I think it's going to prompt some dialogue. If not, we'll just, you know, get through the slides and call it a night. But I got a feeling it's probably going to prompt some things because of what I've been seeing out there. So bear with me 1 second. Okay, here we go. I think. There you go. So multiple streams of income. You know, I really wanted to address this for lots of reasons. I'll share with you in just a second, but it's important that you understand that you need them, but probably even more important is you need to understand how to do it right. And so we're going to go over some of that stuff and so that you can understand how you add those streams in effortlessly. So what prompted this call is, I guess in some industries, there's a nonstop contact from others attempting to recruit to the latest and greatest, right? It's just a never ending process of recruiting and more commercials about other products. It's usually preempted by somebody saying, I'm not trying to sell anything. I just found this great product, you know, and more, you know, mention that we all need to have 5 streams of income. And of course, that came from a Forbes article out there. It's, you know, been known since the beginning of time. The Bible actually talks about that, and I'll share that with you. But, you know, watching others lose opportunities to build multiple streams effortlessly really pains me. So they don't pause to strategize their streams. And when you do that, you kind of shoot yourself in the foot. So that's what prompted the call tonight. I want to take it back to the beginning. You know, I usually rewind the tape a little bit to get things going. And back in the old days, you know, the middle class, lower middle class, lots and lots of people had what we call side gigs, right? Some of them, you know, had a job and they did farming. Some of them had a job and they had a newspaper route. Some of them, you know, did a job and they were mechanics. They took in ironing and laundry, and some were grocery store clerks on the weekend, or plowing fields, pumping gas, mowing grass, sales of homemade farm goods, right? Or insurance and real estate on the side. There's a never-ending list of what people used to do. It was not at all uncommon. And if you think back, you know, in those days, we're probably talking 50 years ago, you can remember that. You'll remember people who did more than just one thing. And you know the thing you really need to look out about that? Hold on, I'm going to mute everybody out here. 1 second, guys. Okay, so the real irony in that is that in the old days, People actually paid off their homes using multiple streams of income, and they commonly retired. They had the option to retire. And you saw that, with the generation before. They died, they actually had no debt, the kids got the house, they split it all up. They did all that kind of stuff. And a lot of that came not just from being diligent and persevering through, a 9-to-5 job, but also because they tucked away as much as they could. But where are we now? We're all scrambling around, and we need to be looking at multiple streams of income. So hold on one second, guys. Can't get this off my screen. Okay, there you go. So it's the egg basket, right? It's not wise for anybody anywhere to put all their eggs in one basket, no matter what. Doesn't matter. Jobs disappear. We saw tragedy really when the real estate market burst, and so many people got downsized and they went scrambling all over the place. That kind of thing can happen. It can happen the older you get cut, right? People get downsized, circumstances change. Maybe it's just your income change, and that could be that a divorce, half the income, a death, half the income, anything could happen. Businesses take a while to reach profitability, guys. They don't just happen overnight, right? And the economy can shift. But people with multiple streams of income easily adapt to change. It's no big deal. See, they don't get caught off guard. And the best part is they ultimately build wealth in the process. So if you want the stability in your life, financial stability that leads to wealth, you got to have multiple streams of income, and you don't put everything in one basket. It's just not wise to do that. It's also biblical. In Ecclesiastes 11, we read, "Ship your grain across the sea. After many days, you may receive a return. Invest in 7 ventures, not 5, but 7, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may become upon the land." So in other words, what the Bible is saying is, listen, you got to do a lot of investing. Invest in all kinds of stuff, because you want all your eggs in one basket. You never know when something might shift. The market shifts, the time shift, whatever. So you don't ever want everything in multiple baskets. It is biblical. And then we get to Proverbs 31. It's funny, so many men don't want to discuss Proverbs 31 because they think, well, that's just for women. Although you might lean on that once in a while and say that's where the perfect woman can be found. And a lot of women run from Proverbs 31 because they say it's not possible. See, she was a wonderful wife and a mother and a representation in her town, and she was an entrepreneur. So it says in Proverbs 31:16, she considers a field and she buys it, and out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. So she's out there as an entrepreneur. She's not going and asking for permission and, discussing it as a couple or whatever. No, she considers a field and she buys it, and out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. In verse 18, we see she sees that her trading is profitable. In verse 20, we see she makes linen garments and sells them and supplies the merchants with sashes. Listen, making money, multiple streams of income, it's biblical. It's happened since the beginning of time. Somewhere in our society, we kind of got away from that. People working one full-time job wouldn't dream of doing the sacrifice that it takes to build something on the side. And people get stuck in one business and put all their eggs in that business and never think about building their world so that they can build stability and wealth. So why is it important? Well, because people, they quit right before the success. You guys hear that all the time. But it's not just discouragement that makes them quit. It's that it comes down to money. They're hoping to make this money. They're hoping to replace an income. They're hoping to do all kinds of things. Their dreams are still in place, but you know what? They got bills to pay. So many of them quit right before success. They go back to a 9-to-5. When you have multiple streams of income, you know what? You've got stay power, because you've got something working when something else isn't working. One stream of income can be revved up, and while the other stream might be floundering, or you're trying to get it off the ground, or whatever that is, right? And so that's another reason you need to not just think about, but have multiple streams of income, so you don't quit on your dreams. You have stability, something to hold you up. And then, of course, building wealth. We all need to be mindful of building wealth. My idea of building wealth is different than yours. My idea of building wealth is, have no debt, of building money to go around, have a lot of peace in my life. That's wealth to me. All wealthy people have more than one stream of income. You won't meet one that doesn't have more than one stream of income. They never rely on just one. And I would think most people here on the call, pretty much in terms of business, you're relying on just one. The only thing that prevents you from doing what all those people do is having the right streams. And that's where 90% of the mistakes are made, is picking the right streams that complement what you're doing. So let's look at some streams, just in case you're wondering, what does that really mean? 5 businesses or whatever? No, it doesn't mean that. You know, one stream of income could be a paycheck. Maybe you're still working for somebody else. That's a stream of income. Maybe a retirement check or social security check. That's a stream of income. Maybe you have a rental of some sort. Maybe you rent out a room, or you rent out, you have a rental property, or you do the Airbnb thing, or maybe you have a side gig. It's kind of sporadic. You get paid to work at events, or, you know, dog sitting or house sitting, or stuff like that. Maybe it's producing tangible products for homes or businesses that you sell in the marketplace, you know, where it's at a fair or craft show or whatever. Maybe it's residual income from direct sales, which would apply to most people on this call. Maybe you sell real estate or insurance on the side, or maybe you sell products and services. There's a whole lot more, but I hope you can see it's not about going out and getting 5 different businesses, like trying to keep all those balls in the air. They're different streams of income. The bottom line is you need 5 of them. So if you don't have 5 of them now, we need to take a look at how can we build that for you, so that you not only have stability, then you can rev one up when another one's not flying, and so that you can build wealth of your own. So let's set the record straight on something, though. I just want to be clear. Now, as you consider multiple streams of income, I want you to understand that as nobody strong enough, smart enough, energetic enough to build from the bottom up more than one business at a time. It's not possible. Bill Gates couldn't do it. Donald Trump can't do it. I can't do it. And you can't do it. It's not possible because it takes so much out of you to build from the ground up. Now, that doesn't mean you can't be involved with other things, right? But you got to understand that you're not going to go pick another stream and build 2 empires or 3 empires all at the same time. It doesn't work that way. So you need to understand that as you're considering another stream. And then we learned from wealth again, right? Wealthy people have their hands in all kinds of income streams, but they never attempt to build more than one business from the ground up. They never. It's one at a time, right? They get one up, and you're kind of on autopilot. Of course, no business can be walked away from, but they kind of get it run up and comfortable, and then they go off to build another. So they don't try to do 2 things at once. They know they can't. Nobody can, and you can't. So if you got that in your mind, you're going to have to back up for a minute and decide what you want to focus on. So don't shoot yourself in the foot. Listen, wealthy people don't build another entity that works against their flow, and they never create their own competition. If they sell widgets under one label, they don't go out and start another company, a widget company, under a different label that's going to compete with their main label. It's just not going to happen. You know, so they know not to do that, and you need to know the same thing. Unfortunately, that's what some people do. You see, they attempt to build something else that is actually going against the flow of their mainstream of income, and they end up creating their own competition. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it could be that you're in the health and wellness industry. It could be a lot of you are in the, you know, hydration part of that, the water part of that, right? And it's a major investment. Now, on this side of the transaction, you probably don't think it's a major investment, but for everybody else on that other side of the transaction, it is a major investment. It's worth it, especially now as we see what's going on in our world. None of us would live without it. But because so many have made this is it, this is the end all, the be all, the everything all, if you bring another product in that's less than $100, for instance, and you talk that up too much, what you make your world think is that, well, I don't need to spend thousands of dollars when I can spend $100, because you've made one work against the other. So you've got to figure out how to complement that, not work against your own core business. So what do? Well, you build one, you complement it with your other streams, or you build one and offer complementary products, if you will, or you build one and you have other hands-off kind of streams of income. A rental income or a stock market or things like that would be a hands-off kind of stream of income. But you got to pick a business. Listen, you need to have a primary source, a mainstream. And a lot of you, I think, have identified that. You need that mainstream, and everything else is built around it, if possible. Everything else should be complementary to that mainstream, not working against it. So nothing is added that will diminish your primary brand. Nothing is added that competes with your primary brand. And the example I just gave you is a good example of that, where you have all these different health and wellness products and you kind of shuffle around, say, pick a card, any card. That's not the way you need to build it. So you can build all of these to be, to be profitable at some point. So you got to pick a business. I want to give you an example of what that kind of looks like. I'm going to go from my past, what I used to do, and then show you what I do now, right? So you can get an idea of how this can all blend together. Well, I had my own main auction business, selling my own auction listings. I signed a contract with the seller. You know, I did the marketing. I went to the auction and I went to closing. That was my mainstay business, very lucrative business. Then I had auction, what we call bid calling for other people. So other people who had their own auction listings would hire out auctioneers. I can tell you how many times people said, why in the world, if you're making all that money in position number one here, why would you go out and do an auction for somebody else? Well, that auction for somebody else was usually less than 30 minutes long. It was usually anywhere from $500 to $1,000. It was usually local to me, so it wasn't on the road, right? And so I would always look at it and say, well, if it's not conflicting with my business, if it's not conflicting with my family business, why not go make a $500, $1,000 for 30 minutes, right? You'd almost be a fool not to. But I also knew in the back of my mind, God forbid, if something went shaky with my main source of living, right, my mainstream, that I could always tap those other people and say, I'm much more available today. It was a backup plan, right? And it was a great one as a side stream of income. And then I developed an auction certification program for realtors. And, you know, that was a very lucrative, you know, I had a course that was $500 for one day course. Can you even imagine? And so that was lucrative. But what I was really looking for is in that third line stream of income, those people would bring people business to my first line. So in other words, they would become educated on the auction process, and they would have bonding with me, right, through the training. And then they would say, well, we want to work with you as an auctioneer. So position number 3 fed position number 1. And then I had a certification of membership. So they got certified, and then to keep that certification, I added value to that, and they paid a small membership fee. That was a hands-off stream, so to speak. And then there was consulting. So I had brokers, major brokers from across the country that said, wow, you know, what are you doing with that broker? And I would fly out wherever. I'd go to Portland, I'd go to Palm Beach, I'd go to Chicago, wherever that broker was. I did not go in my own back door. Even though I did auctions across the country, you know, I protected the mid-Atlantic, which was my bread and butter pretty much, right? But I'd go out there. You know what happened? I'd go out, I'd train them on the auction. They liked my style, and then they ended up calling me saying, can you do our auction? So number 5 fed number 1. You see what I'm saying? Nothing worked against anything. Even though on the outside, people might have said, what are you doing coming up with a course, for heaven's sake? You're rocking it. Guys, I was rocking it. I did 5,000 closings in those days, right? But I rocked it because I had multiple streams that complemented my main business. And I trust that you can understand how that threaded together. Okay, so I'm going to take you from there to today. Okay, so today my mainstream health and wellness product, right? That's been the mainstream. And then I came up with tools, you know, tools for my industry, tools, sales and marketing tools. And I started offering tools out there to people doing the same thing I was doing, right? And then I wrote books, and the books lead to speaking engagements. So that all feeds, right? If you go out with a book, if you're an expert, if you have a speaking engagement, don't you think number 3 position probably feeds number 1 position? You better believe it does. And then, of course, there's online courses. You guys, a lot of part of that, and I'm grateful for that. It's such an honor to work with you. And then from there, there's a membership where if you want some of the tools, digital tools, then you join a membership. Again, that's pretty passive income, right? And then I've introduced a financial tool, and people might say, what in the world? In fact, I'm here as I'm writing about that, and I'm branding myself there. I'm hearing people saying, what are you doing? Because if you look at multiple streams, it looks like the odd man out, doesn't it? But it's really not, because you see in the number 1 position, when people say, and they often do when they're talking about thousands of dollars to invest, right? They'll say, I just don't have the money. Well, the bottom line is, you know, coming out of real estate, I ask a lot of questions, and it's usually not that they don't have any money. It's usually that they have a whole bunch of debt, and they're maxed out on credit cards, and because they are, they can't, you know, I can't get them into that number 1 position. So I go right over, real estate mode kicks in, and I say, you know what, it looks like we need to talk about that. We need to clear up your life a little bit. You shouldn't be living so tight. You should be able to buy whatever you want to buy in life, right? So we go into the financial GPS system, get them in a good position. Do you think those people, when they can breathe a little bit, won't go back to number one position? Of course they will. It's all streamed together. And so you guys need to get things, all these things that I showed you on this screen in my past and this screen in my present, everything is complementary. One isn't working against it. I don't have multiple health and wellness products trying to convince people that this one's better than this one and oh yeah, you can do this one. There's no pick a card, any card in my world. Never was, never will be, right? But there is, it does, you know, all blend together, even though if you own the surface, you might look at it and say it's apples and oranges. When you're talking about money and you're talking about people buying stuff, it's never apples and oranges. So it's actually the perfect blend for me. You know, when I sent out the email thread after you guys registered, a couple questions on there that I said would be answered. So I just copied them so we could, you know, address them directly just the way they came to you. And the first one is that number 5, which we know now in the Bible is actually should be 7, right? Number 5 is number 5, the magical number income streams that turns you into a millionaire. And I'm going to stop right there and say, no, you know, some of these very, very wealthy people have a whole lot more than 5 or 7 streams of income. It's not that number, you know, that's going to turn you into a millionaire. It's understanding that you need all those streams of income, not just 1, not just 2. 5's great goal, 7 would be better, right? And so the question is it that number that makes people a millionaire, or is it the millionaire knows how important multiple streams of income are, so that millionaire begins to collect them? And that's what it is. They understand, and they don't, you know, they don't collect these things and then become a millionaire, right? They collect these things. They collect these things and become a millionaire. They're not a millionaire and then they start collecting them. In other words, it's the reverse of what you might think. So when you get overwhelmed by this and think, how would I do all these businesses? Understand you do them one step at a time, just like anybody trying to build wealth, just one step at a time, having a mainstay or mainstream and everything else working around it. Question number 2, are there 5 different kinds of streams? Or could those streams be in the same category? For instance, real estate. Well, pretty much I answered that question by showing you what my past looked like in real estate, right? It could be all the same industry. It could be all health and wellness if that's what you want. You know, a good example of that is you look at Dr. Mercola, supposed to be the god of all, right? Dr. Mercola sells all kinds of stuff out there because Dr. Mercola is marketing Dr. Mercola. But you know, Dr. Mercola, if he had a mainstay of one product and you knew him for one product, and then he tried to get you to buy these other products, it would work against him. But the same is true for you. If you want multiple health and wellness, if that's your thing, and you want a bunch of different products, you know, then you need to figure out how to, you know, brand you as being some sort of expert in that field, and not you know, an expert in selling this particular product and then saying, oh, by the way, you know, I got a couple things for you. Pick a card, any card. Guys, you won't build anything that way. In fact, what you're going to do is damage your mainstay. So you got to be real careful with that. And lastly, the question is, do highly paid professionals really need this many streams of income, or should they just keep working hard in their profession? You know what? They need it probably more than anybody. Nobody's exempt from this. You know, high paid executives, they could make $1 million a year. And you know what? Boom, a health problem, they're done. You know, they get cut, they're done. They get a divorce, they're done. So, you know, that life happens to those people the same. But you'll find that the high paid executives often invest in stock. That's a stream of income. They have annuities. That's a stream of income. They might have rental properties. That's a stream of income. So they don't have hands-on businesses usually. They're usually very busy and probably couldn't even find the time, but they have investments that bring streams of income. You'll get there one day too, where you'll have investments and you don't have to work so hard for it, right? So they do need the streams of income just like everybody else. And the only difference is their streams usually cost more. It's usually an investment kind of stream, and the stakes are much higher than if you just have streams that you work, as part of businesses. So again, you got to find the perfect blend. If you currently represent what you've been calling the very best of the best of the best, whatever it is, you've spent time, energy, marketing, social media, whatever, telling the world that you have the best of the best of the best, then it's so important that you carefully consider what additional product or products you're going to add and how to spend it. So if you're in the class with me with the Living Larger class, that's my deal, right? It's like, hey, everything, operates on the same principles with a different spin. And so you need to understand You take these things on, strategize it, but you need to understand how you're going to spin it. How are you going to be a Dr. Mercola and not the guy with the trench coat with 50 different little products, right? So you got to figure that out. So the answer is never going to be, they can't afford this, or it shouldn't be, I should say. They can't afford this, so I'm going to sell them that. Listen, there's a whole lot of room just with one product to do that kind of thing, and most people aren't even doing it. They have a product, it's like a one size fits all, and they want to sell that product. They don't even talk about other products of lesser value, right? They don't even talk it. So there's a whole lot of wiggle room there that nobody's using anyway. But you should never, ever, talk to somebody about, this is the best of the best, everybody needs this. Oh, you can't buy that? Well, let me sell you this. That is never going to build a strong foundation for you. So you really need to think about them. And people see right through that strategy, by the way. Sell them whatever you can get them to buy. They see right through it. And so you've got to, having different products, if you're in health and wellness, we know that there's no end to the things that we need for health and wellness. It's not just one thing. So it's a good thing to add new things into the fold. But how you add them and whether or not you're adding things that work against you, you better sit down, strategize that before you waste time and money trying to do it. Complement it instead, right? So how are you going to spin it? Well, again, if you have a generic label, a website, for instance, you can brand yourself as an expert and offer all kinds of products to different audiences. That's what you're seeing if you follow me at all on the Living Larger site. That's a generic site. I can do the books through the site. I can do the event through the site. I do the courses through the site. I do the membership through the site. I do health and wellness through the site, and I can do finances through the site because it's one generic label. I don't look like a fool out there with all these different things because it's a generic label. And you need to consider doing the same thing too. I don't know how you're going to pull it off. If you're in the class, I have some ideas for how you're going to pull it off, but you won't pull it off by having 4 or 5 different cards or 4 or 5 different products. It's never going to fly. You need to, if you want to go that way, that Dr. Mercola kind of way, then you need to figure out what's your label, what's generic, and you can offer up everything on the planet through that label and look like a professional, right? The goal is to position to upsell from one product to the other. I know you might not like hearing that, especially people that say, oh, I just want to help people. Well, that's good. But, even as a Christian, I'm always upselling, okay? We got you this far. Now we need to go to the next level. You're in business this far, you go to the next level. It's always an upsell. There's nothing, obnoxious about that. But, the goal for you in business is to position yourself to upsell from one product to the other. It's a process, and it's also a pipeline, whether it's digital or it's in real time. So otherwise, guys, be careful. How will you convince your same audience of people, right? You got this one audience of people, and you've been talking to them about this. How are you going to switch over and start pitching a whole different thing, that has value? How are you going to do that? As if you pitched them from the very beginning. So in other words, you've got all these people, they came into your world, they came into your life, they came into your business, and you talk to them about your product. Most of them bought, some of them didn't. How are you going to take that same group of people and switch gears on them and not look silly? You got to be upselling it. It's all in how you spin it. And again, if you have the right look and the right blend and everything's complementary, you see how I showed you in my past and in my present, how one thing just naturally leads to the next. It just kind of naturally goes to the next. But if you're pitching one industry, health and wellness, and you switch gears on them, it doesn't go very well. So you've got to, first of all, you need multiple streams of income. Second of all, you need them in the right way. You got to strategize that so you can actually build something productive. So the next step, you identify your streams, right? You might already have 5 streams, never even thought about it, but most people are going to have, 2 streams, maybe, could be 3, but you need to identify those streams, and it doesn't have to happen overnight. But if you're stuck in limbo, maybe you're stuck saying, I'm just not making the money I need to make, I want to make, I don't want to quit. It might be time for you to look at a different stream. Don't look at quitting, just look at something complementary and start identifying those things now. Look for ways, again, to complement what you're already doing, and guard your time, guys. Listen, a lot of you spend a whole lot of time. I jokingly say, I get in trouble actually, because I say, boy, I look at what you do, it looks too much like a job to me. I don't want a job. I haven't had a job in 30 years. I don't want one now. And a lot of you spend a whole lot of time on things that don't produce income. They're nice things. They're complimentary things, I guess. You think it's a nice thing to do, but it isn't making you any money. So I said this the other day. I was making that same statement actually to someone about, pre-filters and stuff, right? For in the water technologies, like, good grief, how do we get the job of worrying about that now? And I said, now, if I owned my own pre-filter, I would want to take the time to be sure they got the right pre-filter, right? So it's always looking at an opportunities. Things like that could be complementary things to what you're already doing, but you can't afford as a business person to stop and do a lot of these things that look more like volunteer work than they do business. Because you know what? In those hours that you're giving away so you can be nice, there could be hours that you could be building another stream. So if you're serious about your business, you're serious about working for yourself, of building that empire, of sustaining yourself and your own business, you got to guard that time. You can't afford to be giving it away like that. And so as you're identifying those streams, you're going to have to find a little time, right? You're going to have to educate yourself and all that stuff and have time to be able to present it. So be very careful with your time. And you need to pause again and strategize how you're going to blend from one stream into the other. Listen, I get a lot of phone calls, just like I'm sure you do. And I'm like, boring, how are you going to, I'm writing immediately in marketing mode thinking, how are you going to pull that off, right? You've got to strategize that blend. If you'll stop and do that, I promise you, you can just have this amazing business where one just kind of blends it very naturally, goes from one to the next thing. It's not a cut, and just, hey, what else can I sell you kind of thing. So you need to strategize how you're going to blend them, how you're going to promote it, what's your look going to be. And so in a nutshell, guys, that's what it looks like. You need multiple streams of income. And I'm not trying to get you to do anything. I just have to take a look at that, because how sad it is, the percentages of people in your business today, how many of them have dropped out because they put all their eggs in that one basket. And before they could get it to a profitable state, they decided, I can't do it. It's not worth it. It's not going to work. I'm going to go get a job. And they have lost amazing opportunities, all because everything was in one basket. So I hope you don't have everything in one basket. That is not a sign of not being loyal or faithful or anything else. It's just a matter of being a wise business person. I hope you don't have all your eggs in one basket, because you know what? Life changes. We're in a current environment now in the world where a lot of you in health and wellness, your business is going to soar because people are scared. And I did a call recently where I said, there's no shame in taking advantage of a bad situation. There's shame in taking advantage of people, in a bad situation. But there's no shame of saying, wow, this is a great opportunity to push my product, to push my service or whatever in this current environment. So it's time for you to put your antenna up and get to work. And if your business, if you're floundering around and going back and forth, maybe I need to get a job, maybe I need to do something else, or calling everybody on the phone, trying to get them to do what you're doing, it might be time for you to pause, to strategize, to figure out complementary things that you can do, things that complement your main stream of income. And I promise you'll be surprised at what happens. So that's it for me to share with you. I'm going to get off this screen and see if we have any comments or questions before I send you guys off to enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Anybody? Comments, questions? You'll have to unmute yourself. Anybody?
I'll comment.
Yes.
Hey, how are you guys? Good to see you all.
Good to see you.
Couldn't agree more with Lynn, definitely following suit here. I just want to point out, that under the current circumstances that we're living, even in the world of normal corporate America, just to give you an example, my son works for Disney Corporation. He's the director of one of the divisions in Disney, and all the parks have been shut down, and all the employees have been sent home to work from home. So they're already at the corporate world. There are a lot of people that are thinking they're going to get laid off because the losses that are going to be incurred, by the closures and what have you, is going to lend to that. So even, in the corporate structure, if they're just relying on just one income, their job and so on, they're going to be in a huge hissy fit, without income pretty soon. So we truly become a solution to offer people an opportunity within what we are doing. But likewise, within our industry, we always have, the quote unquote dangers that, are well may dry as well. So having a backup plan and tapping into, another source of income, I strongly absolutely, agree with Lynn in that regard, and likewise, following suit. I am a speaker in environment world, and so, for instance, Enagic has been one of the products, obviously, that I represent, because it just fits in so naturally within going into the green industry and greening. I am also a consultant in the green industry for corporations so that they can begin to go green. And complementary to that, also, within renewable energy, I'm a chair in a company that is leading, bringing corporations into greening and so on. So one thing builds into another, and it is extremely complementary. But one thing that stays really, really true, no matter what industry that we are in or product line that we may be in, financial wisdom is hugely important.
It is.
And there are a lot of people that are in, in challenging situations that absolutely could benefit from further financial know-how and really getting rid of debt altogether and getting debt
That's
free.
true.
And I've seen it in our industry. I've seen it in normal, conventional world of work and so on. So again, even for spiritual work, okay, for the spiritual side, that we need to concentrate time in, in our spiritual work. Some people are so overburdened by debt that they can't even think
Right.
about, the aspects of where they should be working, working from within. So that also is complementary to be able to help them in that area. So kudos to you, Lynn, for doing this, this
Thank you.
Zoom for sure, and bringing further awareness of how important it is to tap into multiple streams of income.
Boy, I really appreciate you, Anna. Thank you so much for your input. And yeah, I agree, guys. And she brings up another point. As we look at this world, again, it's never okay to take advantage of people in a bad situation. But it's only the wise thing to do to take advantage of the bad situation for your business. And I don't mean to hustle people, right? But when you look at, I was reading about this, it didn't name the casino, but it said the largest casino in the US. I wouldn't know which one that is. But anyway, they're sending all those people home. And they're going to continue to pay them their minimum wage, The waitresses, I think they said they got $3 an hour. Those people are going home. And most people are one paycheck away from disaster. I mean, we already know that the average American, has $1,000 in the bank. What am I getting at? I'm getting at, once these people need to know that there's a way that they can build an income, even just the second stream of income, so they never get caught off guard again. If they had another stream of income, they get cut, you go home from the casino, go home from your job, whatever's going on in life, right? They could just get busy doing their second stream of income and pick up the slack. And so, I know that a lot of us that have gotten into this industry, especially when you get into health and wellness, you're just like so passionate, you just want to help people physically, help them regain or sustain their health. And that is always going to be a really, really good thing. But most of us didn't talk about business. And I don't apologize for making money. Okay. I like to pay my bills. I like to not be worried. I know what it is to lose everything. So the money thing's important to me. It's not my God. It's not my first priority. My first priority is God, then my family, and then money, and then the business, right? So I have everything in perspective, but I never want to feel what I felt in the past, right? So multiple streams of income is the only way for me. And I look at all these people, and somebody asked me about, are you worried? Because we do have the coronavirus here. There's a lot of exposure going on. I'm not worried about the coronavirus. I'm worried more about the people that are going to be impacted economically. And it's now time to roll up your sleeves and tell people what you got, okay? And if you don't have something that is like really easy, or should I say affordable to get into, something they could just kind of pick up and start learning tomorrow and making money tomorrow, then maybe that's another stream of income you need to think about. People that don't have to make, thousands of dollars investment, because a lot of these people are smart, wise, hungry, ready, and they may not be able to pull that off. But maybe there is a chance for you to, to get them into something, to show them another way. Because again, guys, 50 years ago, people had multiple streams. I mean, they did something else besides just going to work, right? They did something else. I'm not sure where that disappeared. I mean, even as a young professional, I still work the holidays, have extra Christmas money. I mean, it's like what people did. And nowadays, they got one job, that's it. I'm going home, I'm tired, I'm beat, I'm spent, you know, go get on my smartphone and have a glass of wine. That's really pretty much what people are doing. And we've got to wake them up that there's a better way and a bigger way and a safer way, you know, if they have multiple streams that they can work with. So thank you for that, Anna. Anybody else have any comments on the multiple streams? I know people were eager to hear what this was going to be about. So do you have anything you're toying with, anything I can help you with? Anybody? If not, I'll just let you go about your evening.
Miss Lynn,
Yes.
I was just going to say, you continue to amaze us all, because I've been in your classes and all the stuff that you bring on a continuing basis. This is just another step that I see is just another add-on to the courses that you teach and the technology that you're out there giving us each and every day. And I guess I've done multiple streams in the past, but when I got into this, it was kind of like, no, I need to concentrate just on this one thing. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not working fast enough. It's
right.
Fast, it's slow, it's whatever. And then you get down the road and it's like you forget to do that extra step. You know, it's like what was it you said when you first got in this business, how you lost your mind and then right. Had to rethink it and then get back on track.
Right.
That's kind of the way I think some of the rest of us have done too, or never had the opportunity to do it before.
That's right, or never knew how to. Yeah, exactly. Which is why I'm so transparent, by the way, because I know it's like, what in the world's wrong with me? I know better than that, right? And so when I came to my senses and started doing business the way I know how to do business, everything started clicking. But, you know, trying to focus on this one thing, it doesn't make sense. It's not good for anybody, anywhere, anytime to put all their eggs in one basket. There's got to be something complementary. You see it, well, I don't know the whole picture, but for instance, let's take Wade Holder. He's got a great water store. It produces, a great six-figure income. But what does he say when he's talking to you? Well, I sell enough water bags to pay the rent. That's what a business person that looks at. That's another stream of income. And it's a significant enough stream that he sells enough of that to pay the rent. That's why we piece it, we kind of think that way. Same when I was saying, here I am, guys, I'm very busy. I was making multiple six-figure income, sometimes seven-figure income. And yet somebody say, hey, can you do a sale for me? Yeah, I can do that, $500,000. Entrepreneurs respect the little bits and the big bits because they understand that all those streams work them toward where they need to go. And so the same as it is true out there for people, that are going to get disrupted economically because of what's going on, they need to look for a stream. A lot of people don't know there's a better way, or they think I don't have the money to invest in a rental or whatever. They don't understand there's another way. And when you have multiple streams, like I said, when one starts floundering a little bit, you rev another one up. And you're always able to sustain because of it. And sometimes one of them is soaring like with the eagles, and then the other times they're just kind of sitting there floating, make a little bit of money. But every little tiny bit adds up to something big. And every stream should be an opportunity to feed your main business. You see, like I was showing you on the screen, in the auction business, every single thing was an opportunity to feed my main business. And what I'm doing today, every single thing is a way to feed my main business. And so I don't mean to be confusing y'all. I know a lot of y'all already have different products and stuff. And if you do, I'm appealing to you to be able to at least get a generic name. Don't go out there like some guy, street vendor with all these trinkets to sell people. Go out there as a professional, get a little generic, wipe off a brand name if you have to, and sell, be able to represent all of it professionally. Not like a street vendor. Oh, you can't afford that? Why don't you buy this? Oh, you can't afford that? What about this? Listen, I was teasing this week recently about, I love doTERRA oils. I use doTERRA oils. I think there's a whole bunch of stuff that we need, right? And I think God already gave us everything we need. And so I use that. I pay retail. Don't bother calling me for a wholesale. Don't ever going to sign up for nothing but retail doTERRA oils. You can call me a fool, but I write it off, right? So, but it has been so difficult, in fact, impossible for me to get somebody, a die-hard doTERRA person, to look at anything else, because they believe they got an oil for everything that ails you. Right? So if you took that on, for instance, you know, your mainstay product is something you think's pretty good for everything that ails you. So you can't go over here on a side corner and say, oh, but I got this for everything that ails you too. Come on, guys, you got to give a common message somehow, right? There's got to be some commonality there. But the main thing is there's got to be multiple streams. Most of you on this call, and probably everybody listening to the replay, already has multiple streams. Just wise up about it. And don't work against yourself, because that's what I see you doing, is working against yourself and kind of looking comical. And I hate to say that. Anybody else?
I was just going to, you know, me, I have to make a comment every time I get on the call. So, hey, everybody. I've always had multiple streams of income since I can remember when. I mean, you know, I worked a full-time job. I worked at the mall at night, you know, I did different things before I got into Enagic. I was working a full-time and 2 part-time jobs at night. I mean, you know, I always had it. And even now, you know, I do have little things I do on the side, just as multiple streams. They don't bring in big bucks. They don't pay the rent, but they give me a little pocket change, or, you know, I call it the vacation fund or whatever.
Right.
And, but one of them coincides with the water, because, you know, I make my own little labels. Cute.
Right.
Labels. So, I mean, that does kind of feed, you know, that kind of stuff. And I've made banners and things like that. So that kind of feeds my lawn.
Right.
Back in Christmas and before Enagic, I used to make candy as a little, you know, seasonal thing for Easter and for Christmas. But I tell you what, I don't want to do that kind of stuff. I don't want that multiple stream of income. That's work.
Yeah.
That's, you know, it's going against, because, you know, it reminded me back in the day when I was working 9 to 5. I get home in the evening, and then I'm working till midnight, 1 o'clock, making candy.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, and I did it this past Christmas, and I was like, oh, okay, this, I enjoy it, but I can't do both because they don't flow.
Right.
You know, it's a distraction, and it's an income, but it did not flow where I was going.
Exactly.
And so I just, you know, I'm like, okay, so I had to question myself whether I was going to do anything like that again for Easter. And the answer is no.
Right. Because, you know, it's a few bucks here in that situation. It's a few bucks, but it actually gets you off track, not complimenting your team. Yeah, so that makes perfect sense, you know. And it's just, you know, as you find those streams, guys, believe me, you know, it just kind of blends from one to the next. If you heard me, I'll try to do a recording, right? When I'm talking to somebody about making an investment and they start backing up, I can't afford it. You know, listen, I've been in sales for a long time, so I know the questions to ask. But then, you know, sometimes they're trying to blow you off, and you can get to the bottom of that. But so often, it's not that they're destitute. It's that they're packed out with debt. So it's so easy for me to just transition right over. It sounds like we need to talk about money. We get that straight. You can afford to buy whatever you want.
Right.
Right. So it's just a blend. So y'all will find that blend, whatever fits for you. Right. This fits for me. But you can find that blend, and it's got to be something that just so easily, without looking like a street vendor, you can so easily go from one to the next. In the real estate world, you know, we learn to rely on referrals, right? So if anybody had really been serious from day one, they built up a database, they've been forever dripping people you sold, you know, products to, but it's just so easy to upsell them. Wow, I just found out about this, and because, you know, this was important to you, I thought you would want to know. Constantly dripping them, right? Constantly upselling with it. That's a professional way of introducing other things to your client base. You're basically you don't go calling them now. You haven't talked to them in 3 years. Okay. Do yourself a favor. But if you make a commitment to stay on board, if you have a system to drip them, You know, it's so easy to say, I thought of you today because this is what I learned, and I just knew it would be something you'd want to hear more about. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. It goes from one to the other. But we've got this product, and then, you know, people are, you know, you start floundering, and then people go out of it and give up their dreams. I hate that. I can't stand it. And it's all because they don't understand. It's okay. You're not being unfaithful or disloyal to have something else that complements what you have. The no comes into if you're starting to, you know, recruit people and take people from one company to the other company. But there's no shame in having an arsenal to offer people. For me, it's like, let's get your health straight, then let's get your wealth straight, okay? Or vice versa. Because, you know, the bottom line is we do, in magic, there is a 3 pillar of health, right? There's, you know, there's healthy body, healthy finances, healthy peace of mind. But I know a whole lot of people in that business, and they don't have the healthy finance thing going on. So our own people don't have peace of mind. They got the health thing, but they never got the finance thing because they never got it really off the ground yet, right? That's very sad. So for me, that's the trigger point. That's my pressure point. But whatever it is, guys, find something. Find something. And if you need to run it by, you know, like I was saying, there's wisdom and counsel, right? So if you want to, you strategize it, you know? You don't just go off half-cocked, say, that looks good, plug it in. It doesn't work that way if you're trying to build a respectable, long-term, profitable organization. It doesn't work that way, right? Not a new trinket time. Anybody else?
Question?
Yes.
Can I go ahead? Curious what platforms you use for your other, like your coaching and your other streams.
I use everything I do runs through the same platform, which is livinglarger.life. So I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. What kind of platform is it ClickFunnels? Is it
everything? It's everything. I've got ClickFunnels, pipelines, email blast, you name it. I ran this series, went through my my website, so everybody's now on my list. You're going to start hearing from me if you weren't already. So every single thing I do goes through there, and I've got it all: pipelines, ClickFunnels, email blasts, you name it. Everything's
Okay.
under the roof.
So what do you use for your email blasts?
I use that system. It's got a built-in system.
That's the name. Okay.
No,
okay.
that's not the name. The name of my service is
Yes.
Kajabi. And I'll send you
Kajabi.
a link because I can get you 28-day free trial if you want to look at it. It's complicated to set up. I mean, you know, but I set mine up. You can pay somebody to set it up. But I needed everything under one roof. And once I went generic, you know, with my label, I'm free to do all kinds of stuff.
So ClickFunnels doesn't do that same capacity?
Excuse me?
ClickFunnels doesn't do the same capacity of having everything under one roof?
Well, yeah, it does, because I've got ClickFunnels under that roof.
Okay. Okay. I'm just curious. I'm trying to decide which system to set up in my process, and I'm tired of spinning wheels looking for all these different options.
Well, look for an email because you registered here. You'll get one from me, okay?
Okay.
I'll send you a link so you can take a look at it. For
Okay.
me, I was not only piecemealing, I wasn't working efficiently. I knew better than that. But I had email blast over here and data management, contact management over here, and a ClickFunnels thing over there. And so this has everything under one roof. So I can compartmentalize it. So for instance, if I did a call like this, let's just say I did it on finances, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The people registering for that call, I would know, well, they at least want to know something about money,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they got on a call. And so
Right.
I would identify the pipeline I want them to be in. So they'd register, get a few emails. Like if you registered here, you're going to get a couple follow-up emails. And then I can identify, okay, tell me everybody's ever registered for any webinar I did about money. And then I can send you guys, you know, you can compartmentalize it. So it's
Okay.
not a matter of just blasting out to everybody on your list about everything. You can categorize it within the system. I can't say enough good about it. I mean, it's just changed my world.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll send it to you. Chris, did
Okay.
you have something, hon?
So it's like each stream kind of is what fish you're trying to catch, or do you want all the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of it's generic, like this recall, I think I sent out to my entire list.
Okay.
Okay, because I thought anybody can benefit, from hearing about how to build multiple streams. But yeah, so I identify in a system. I'll do some teasers, if you will, some pipelines to get leads, and then they're categorized because they reacted to that pipeline. So I can go in a system and categorize it by the kind of fish I'm trying to catch, right? And then I do a whole new campaign or use an existing campaign to attract that fish.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's a digital way of doing what everybody ought to be doing, but they're not. Like a funnel. It's nothing more than follow-up. But most people don't even have a follow-up system without the digital part. They don't even know step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And so we're learning that in the class, what that funnel really looks like. In a digital world, it just means it's automated. It doesn't mean anything crazy. And in a digital world, by the way, if you haven't tuned into any of the calls I've done about this, listen, when we talk ClickFunnels, okay, or I talk about a pipeline, I am never mentioning a company name. I'm talking about me. So there's no product, there's no company name, there's no compliance issue, because I'm not talking about anything but me. Okay, so just don't go away thinking, oh, she's out of compliance because she's got ClickFunnels. Well, I do. They're all about me. Nobody can tell me I can't talk about me. So that's the difference. And if you had a generic label, when I say me, that's what I mean, by the way, the label. Nobody can say anything if you're not talking about a specific product by name. So you're trying to build yourself as an expert. Call me. I got your answer. Come on the call. I got the solution, right? So you're fishing, trying to find a fish to bring into your pipeline. Hope that makes sense.
It amazes me just reading all your sites, and you don't talk about water at all.
I don't talk about water.
No, you don't.
Nope. No, I don't. But see, I just built myself out, out, the expert thing. I have to tell you, the book, Toilets, Taps, and Trash helped a lot. And believe me, I brag it up. I'm a best-selling author. It's like a pamphlet. They don't know that. It's still a best-selling pamphlet. Bottom line is it made it to #1. So you think I don't tell everybody that? Of course I do, right? So that got some attention, but every single one of you can write a book. In fact, that's one thing I'm toying with is the people, and I got to talk to you about this, Jeannie, but people using the same service for this whole platform that I use, I'm thinking about allowing them to use Toilet, Taps, and Trash as the opt-in download. Come here, oh, download this book, because it might be good for them for their site, and we'll kind of all be in the same family at that point. But yeah, so I don't talk about the water. If you see the blog, come on.
I haven't looked at your blogs yet.
Well, you need to do that. H2ORevival.com, and there's like 600 of them. You really don't see me. I mean, in the old days, I told you I used to have a hyperlink. I get their attention. I got like 1,500 new people, unique people a month to EWS, all from that blog. So I was trying to snag them, but before I came to my senses, right, you got to build the value before you send them there. And so I was like throwing the fish out over here and didn't really have them on the line at all. So, but yeah, you'll see that. I really don't talk. I just I'm the expert, read the book. I'm the expert, read the book. And that brings 32,000 people following that blog. You should take a look at it.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. Yes, Anna. I think you're muted out, my friend. Are you muted?
Me?
There you go.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Just adding value to what was just said. In our industry, with the water program that we run and so on, one of the things that we forget to do is to brand ourselves.
Right.
Okay, we keep on branding, the company.
Right.
People are purchasing this technology from us because of us, because of the trust that we build, right? So sadly, in this industry, people forget that very important point, that it is you.
Right.
It's absolutely you. So when you continue on, you know, with the business and marketing and so on, you want to continue being you and creating that brand that, you know, Lynn is saying,
Mhm.
whatever it may be. And just simply to share, for instance, I have an associate who branded himself as the Alkaline Man.
Mhm.
And not here, but overseas. And he's a speaker. He is he's written books as well in Spanish, what have you. People, he has thousands of people following him, not because of the water,
Right.
because he's branded himself as the expert in a particular topic, and everything else that he adds to it follows that. As he said, as Lynn says, you know, it just continues being complementary and adds value, right? As opposed to simply representing the one company and that brand.
Right.
That is the one key thing that people in our industry forget all the time, because they're not being taught to brand themselves,
Right.
right? And that's one of the reasons why they can't move forward as they could. So there's so much value in what Lynn is teaching in her courses, you know, and progressively as she adds more and more value to it. I can't emphasize enough to act on the things that are calling to you from her teachings, because it's not enough, you know, to go to the courses that she's doing. It is putting those things into practice, even if it's one step at a time, little by little.
Mhm.
Apply them, and your world will change.
That's right.
Living testament to that. Living testament. So highly encourage you to act on the things that you're learning from her.
Thank you so much for that, Anna. Wow, I couldn't pay her for a commercial like that, but it's so true, guys. And you know what when I'm trying to teach our world, I didn't learn in our world. Okay. I learned it. It kind of was a great transition for me from, being corporate, and then Dale Carnegie instructor, learned all that stuff, how to influence people, public speaking, all this stuff. Right. And then started my business in the auction business. That's really when I started my business, put it all into play. I was an overnight #1 person in that industry. Why was I #1? No, I was green, but I knew how to brand myself. I knew what to do to rank myself up. So the whole point being, listen, God forbid, okay, I'm not hinting to anything. I'm pretty good at just saying what I think. God forbid you wake up tomorrow and there is no Enagic. Enagic disappeared. Who are you? You ain't much if all you branded is somebody else's company. You've got to brand you. And when you brand you, whatever that is by name, or for me, it's like, living larger, you can add all these streams in so comfortably. And you can go out and start building this list and building these people and getting these connections and becoming your own superstar. But you always have to think about that. Magic's not going anywhere, but what if it was hard to import for a while because of what's going on in the world? You couldn't get product. Well, people will wait for the product. Ask Anna when she hit Mexico with the product. They waited for the product, believe me. But what if the people you still have clients, but you ain't making any money? And you sit there for 3 or 4 or 5 months trying to get, what if that happened? Well, if you've got another stream of income, everything's just fine. You just go from one, floating it to the next. You've always got a ball in the air. And that, my friends, is what's missing. You don't have that. And so many people, a huge number of people in our company, they were making progress. And for whatever reason, who cares? Lack of leadership, whatever. But it really bottoms down to the fact that they didn't have the stay power financially to keep moving until it really, really took off. So they went off to something else. They didn't succeed there either because they never learned these principles. And then they go back and get a job. And that breaks my heart because it doesn't have to be that way. But you don't know what you don't know, right? You just don't know what you don't know. So yeah, it's all about that branding thing. And guys, you can find those streams. And if you need help, say, well, I've been thinking about adding this on, or I already add this on, but I don't really talk about this, but I do really talk about that. Just email me or something, Lynn@livinglarger.life. I'll throw you some ideas. But if you want that sustainability, you got to do more. It's not working harder, guys. It's just spreading it out a little bit and value your time. And so if you want to do this, you got to put in a little work. Again, I don't know what happened in the old days. I mean, we work like animals, and now it's kind of like, well, I don't know. You know, I did this for 5 hours, going to watch TV. If you want to build another stream, it's going to take a little bit of work. But once you get it blending, it's so effortless. It's not even funny. Effortless. Anything else, guys? You guys are treasure. You stayed with me. Hey, listen, I joke, you know, we do these late calls, 9 o'clock Eastern. To me, I can be fired up at 10 o'clock. I can do it at 9. I can still hang in there and have some brain cells firing and some energy, right? But that's it. Yes.
Did you say that you were going to record this? You're going to
Yes.
You'll play it back later?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I am recording it. We'll be sending it out.
Super.
Yeah, probably to the list of people registered. I'm not sure. I might put it on Facebook, but it'll definitely be out there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
God bless you all. You know, for all the people in the class, I'll see you on Wednesday. Anna, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And thank you so much. I'll send out that website too, by the way, Tamara. So,
Thank you so much. God bless.
God bless you. Hang in there, guys. Bye-bye.